Welcome to the EPQ Exhibition. This is something that's gone from strength to strength over the last few years. We started about 6 years ago or so with a very small number of students studying the EPQ, and now, as you can see, there's a real huge range and variety of different projects and topics that people are looking into. It forms a key part of our Challoner's baccalaureate and just provides exactly the sort of skills that universities are looking for our students as they go forward in their lives.
I wanted to do an engineering degree at uni, and I thought, well, what better way of trying to get my head around engineering than actually doing an engineering project like making a soapbox racer. And I watched some of the Red Bull soapbox racing, and I just thought it looked quite fun and an interesting project to do, so I gave it a go. To make and paint it took me about 2 or 3 weeks working like after school and on weekends doing it, but it took longer to design it and things like that.
I think that terrorism is probably the greatest issue of the 21st century. The rise of global terrorism has created a lot of insecurity, and it's led to a lot of immigration, refugees, and there's also been a lot of tension between different communities because it's spread Islamophobia, which has then led to terrorist organisations rising in Britain. So last year the first official terrorist organisation of British origin was classified as terrorist.
And I don't know if you've seen, they made a film in 2015 called Concussion with Will Smith in it, about sort of a cover-up investigation that was going on between head injuries and mental illness in American football, which is what really inspired me to start looking into it and look into the science behind it. Because in terms of the film, they made it all cinematic and made it all about the NFL and the politics behind it, if you like. But what I wanted to look into is the actual science behind it. I don't do science, but it's something that still interested me as a person, because I just find it really intriguing as to how the brain works.
I wanted to do something on the royal mistresses because I thought they were quite interesting. And the Stuarts obviously had Charles II, who had 7 illegitimate children with mistresses. So I just thought it was a really interesting place to start. It was really good in that sense. Yeah.
The main idea behind reducing pilot error is by making the cockpit more ergonomic and easier to use for pilots. Because as you can see in the flight sim, there's a lot of stuff that you need to remember. It's all the way up there. Yeah. So for example, if you just have a look at this picture here, that's an example of a landing gear lever from an Airbus aircraft, and as you can see, it looks like a wheel because that's what it controls. And a lot of the design ideas behind what goes into the cockpit is designed around this basis, just to help reduce errors made and make it a more sort of stress-free environment.
Basically creating a piece that's inspired by Banksy and similar style to Banksy's work, basically to be against poaching. And my client is a charity called the Anti-Poaching Foundation. So for example, the runners in that picture, there's only 4 left in the world, which is why they're under 24-hour on guard by the government.
I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to give acknowledgement to something that hadn't got that acknowledgement, and I gave it to Colombia and their 50 years of civil war that's only just finished in 2016. That's got relatively no media coverage, even though it's been brutal at times. It's got, relatively no assistance, relatively no aid. And compared to what it should have got, it hasn't got that. I mean, I'm not here to say that we should play down what's happening in Syria, because Syria is awful. It's an awful conflict, much worse than what's going on in Colombia and what has gone on in Colombia. What I'm here to say is, why can't we give media coverage, give aid, give assistance to all of these conflicts that are falling under the radar, like Colombia, like Yemen, and like all of these other countries.
So the British took me 3 days to do. You can see from this, it took me quite a while. It's the whole building process I did, the whole thing. I did this one off camera, it didn't take me too long afterwards. So I went on the internet and found out the major bridge designs they use, and I saw which ones I could make using the same materials. So the suspension bridge uses wires instead of actual metal pieces, so I couldn't reuse that because it would use a different material. chose these designs as they all use the same materials?
I had a first-hand experience with a gang from Wickham where they attempted to mug me, attempted to try and take my watch and try and take me down an alleyway so they could do that. And thankfully my friend's dad was driving across the other side of the road, saw this happen, and shouted my name and I ran across the road. From then I was sort of determined to understand how these gangs ticked and what made them do what they do. And so that's basically what I was able to find out about this.
And I wanted to look into how often and to what extent that prison is overused as a punishment for sexual offences and whether other methods would be more appropriate. With the media, they've enforced a disproportionate emphasis onto certain sexual offences and certain cases, and they prefer to focus on those that are the most gruesome and the most interesting, or quite often, like, if they involve celebrities like Donald Trump and Jimmy Savile. But on the other hand, the media has provided a huge platform for people to provide support for those who need help for sexual offences, and so more and more people are starting to come forward, and so it's sort of balancing itself out.
This in its current state took about a couple of hours. To get it fully built into a box, which I'm planning to do, it'll take a couple of hours to solve the circuit, and then I've got to drill things, so it'll probably take like 6 hours total. It's not something that takes a really long